if you actually look at the history of the founders of Hamas, one of the founders of Hamas, subsequently assassinated by Israel decades ago, was a pediatrician who was 8 years old when he watched his uncle and 200 other boys and men massacred by the Israeli army in Gaza in 1956. When Israel took over Gaza in 1956, they killed unarmed civilians, a couple of hundred, and also in Rafah they did the same thing. I didn't make this up. This is history. You can look it up. And I forget this doctor's name who became one of the funders of Hamas, but he said, they planted hate in my heart. That's what he said. They planted hate in my heart. So for sure, October the 7th planted hate in a lot of Israeli hearts. And the occupation and what's happening in Gaza right now will plant a lot of hate in a lot of Palestinian hearts. There's no question about it. There's only one part of that. There's only one part of that question that I resist, where he says they all have reason to hate Israel and become murderers. Maybe. Or maybe they'll become resistance fighters. And is a legitimate resistance to occupation that isn't murder. I don't know if you understand that distinction. But people have the right to resist an occupation. They have the right to resist the occupation with arms. The third point is that in 2005, there was a study in Gaza and in Palestine, West Bank, about degrees of post-traumatic stress disorder in children. This study found that about 40% of Palestinian kids had severe symptoms of PTSD as young children. About 35% had significant symptoms. Only 2.5% had no trauma symptoms. 2.5. This is 2005. This is before Hamas took over in Gaza. But already 97.5% of Palestinian kids showed some degree of trauma, some of them severe degrees of trauma. Now, who do you think those militants who stormed Israel on October the 7th were? They were those kids that were grown up, full of trauma, many of them probably full of hatred. And this is a cycle. This is a historical cycle that's been going on for so long now. So we're never going to resolve the issue looking at any one particular generation or any one particular group. You got to step back and say, what is it about the situation that keeps creating this ongoing trauma? If we're really going to deal with this situation, people, you have to get past October the 7th. You have to get past October the 6th and October the 8th or April the 1st. You have to look at the whole situation that's been going on for generations and ask, what is causing all this? What is the source of it? Remember something. 40 years ago, Hamas didn't even exist. There was no Hamas 40 years ago. Something happened to create that organization and that ideology. Where did it come from?